What is going on, my wonderful opera friends? It is so good to see you again. Welcome back to OperaAnna. I am here to opera up your life with some serpentuous, sneaky, sensual love coming off the aria today from none other than God himself. Bet you weren't expecting that one. Let's get into it. Today we're looking at the aria Mon coeur s'ouvre à ta voix from Camille Saint-Saëns's grand opéra Samson et Dalila, or My Heart Opens at the Sound of Your Voice from Camille Saint-Saëns's grand opera Samson and Dalila. An aria which may be the perfect intersection between beauty and manipulation that we have ever seen, especially on the vlog, and a perfect example of why context is so important in opera. This aria comes in Act 2 of the opera Samson and Dalila, and I know what you're thinking. Didn't I learn about someone named Samson in Sunday school, OperaAnna? At least that's what I was thinking when I first saw the name of this opera. All these years later, and I can at least remember that there was a story entitled Samson and Dalila, something having to do with hair. It really stuck with me, all that. So yes, this story comes from chapter 16 of the book of Judges in the Old Testament, for those who are wondering. But that story focuses mainly on Samson. And this story, according to Camille Saint-Saëns's opera, starts after all his heroics, after all the feats of strength, after...
what else is there?
That. Open on the opera, the Hebrews are mourning their enslavement to the Philistines, begging to be set free. Point of interest, in the Bible story, the Philistines had already been ruling over Israel for like 40 years at this point, and Samson was chosen by God to set them free. The story opens as they're all sort of like milling around. They're basically like singing about their enslavement and how awful it is, and Samson tries to like hype them up, get their spirits up, when I'm going to go with Abimelech, that's probably it, Abimelech, the governor of Philistine, and so like not a nice dude, arrives on the scene and starts just making fun of everyone involved. Right? So canceled, first of all. He's just taunting all of the Hebrews, the Hebrews, about how their God has abandoned them. And Samson, not one to let an insult go ignored, kind of gets into it with him, and he ends up killing Abimelech in a struggle. Okay? Good. So obviously no one wants to be associated with this or like get in trouble for it, so everyone leaves except for Samson and obviously Abimelech.
That's some pretty dark stuff.
Then we meet this really fun guy, the high priest of Dagon, who curses both the Hebrews and Samson. And when he finds out that the Hebrews are now destroying the crops, there's a lot of moving parts in this, he places a curse on Samson. Very important. Places a curse on Samson, alluding to his plot to use Dalilah's beauty to outwit Samson's strength. And now I'd like to allude to my plot to get you to subscribe to the channel, because I'm trying to reach 5,000 subscribers so we can bring opera to 5,000 people, which would mean that 5,000 people subscribe to a channel called OperaAnna. This is where it starts to get really juicy, you guys, because Dalila, oh Dalila, hey there Dalila.
Hey there, Dalila.
She sort of like tried to seduce Samson already multiple times, which we don't see in the opera. But obviously it hasn't worked. When they first see each other in the opera, she like comes all up on him. She's like, hey, Samson, what's going on?
Are you saying that you don't want to get with this?
And this old Hebrew guy sees this happening, and he goes up to Samson and is trying to warn him to avoid her. And so the whole opera is basically the story of Samson trying to stay away from Dalila. It basically should be called Samson tries to get away from Dalila, but it doesn't work. You know, he's been warned to stay away from her. He knows she's not safe. It's basically Romeo and Juliet if Juliet were also trying to kill Romeo at the same time. So also nothing like that. So as we move into Act 2, this high priest of Dagon who cursed Samson, he tries to bribe her to seduce Samson, get his secret to his strength, and then tell the high priest of Dagon. But she then shows how fun she is at parties by responding that she only wants revenge for her God in her hatred against the Hebrews. These two are so much fun together that they even sing a duet about how much they hate Samson and the Hebrews.
And then what happened?
And then Samson comes to say his last farewell to Dalila. Probably came in and was like, oh, Dalila, you're here. That's so funny. I was just gonna go. He literally shows up to her room and is like, I can't be with you. But bitch, you knew something was gonna happen if you went to her room. He continues to try to push her away, and just before he gives into her manipulation, he says, Tu sais, je en mourir un jour, Dalila. Je t'aime. Even if I die one day because of you, I love you, Dalila. I don't know, man. No one forced you to go to her room, but love conquers all, even common sense. After he says this line, the next words out of her mouth are, Mon coeur s'ouvre à ta voix. Okay, we start out dolcissimo e cantabile assai with these pulsing strings on the orchestra that give no indication of the danger to come. Knowing what just came before, the words that he just said, even if I die one day because of you, I love you, Dalila. Jon Vickers has this great little grimace on his face, knowing that he's no longer following the path of righteousness. You guys, I can't talk today! Oh my God. What he just said, you can see the grimace that Jon Vickers still kind of has on his face, knowing that he's no longer following the path of righteousness. So let's see what happens. Oh, I love this staging so much. She does not shy away from closed vowels, you guys. Oh my goodness. Me. The first lines. My heart opens to your voice like the flowers open to the kisses of the dawn. And then me. Not me Italian, but me French. Like I said in the Nessun Dorma video, if you did not see it, go watch it. The word but in any aria is very important. And here we are. It's even more of her sneaky manipulation at play. She's not happy until she understands his strength, and she continuously pushes him and guilt trips him because he won't tell her what his strengths are. And she's like, well, you don't actually love me then. Bitch. Let's keep going. By the way, this is Shirley Verrett, and I think at this point she was actually a soprano when this actual thing was recorded, but she started as a mezzo. Sorry, I don't know what happened with my face just then. She started as a mezzo. Sorry. Oh, she's so great. Look at that mask. Holy crap. Oh. Oh, I went too far. Oops. So Verrett has this smile on her face the whole time, which you don't see in some other singers. We're going to look at them. Don't worry. Stick around. She has this almost like gleeful look of knowing that she's about to succeed. This is the furthest he's ever let her like come, basically. That was a poor choice of words. The furthest he's ever let her in. Better. And just speaking from a vocal point of view, she gives everything of her voice 100% of the time, and it can sometimes be just a tad under, but I honestly don't care. It is so great, and I lost it a little bit when she did She's so into it. I love it. And then we have this little motif that almost sounds like a snake charmer enticing the snake out of its basket. You know what I'm talking about? And it's been playing since the beginning of Act 2 when Dalila was already plotting her seduction of betrayal. And you remember this old man that I talked about warning Samson against her? Well, he described her as a snake. And who can forget the most famous snake in all of the Bible? Just tempting people into biting into apples and biting into other things. Samson weaves that into her underlying music. It's so obvious in this aria and everyone knows it, but it's already present much before. It's even in her melody that she's singing. The most famous line of this entire aria, which we'll get to in a second, the chromatic descending line as she entices him even more. Fun fact, Dalila in Hebrew means languishing or to waste away, which I think is interesting in the context of this story because her presence, her persistence causes his strength to die, to waste away quite suddenly, really, but not to be ignored, you know? Oh, gorgeous. That decrescendo. Oh! Goosebumps. Ooh. Just pause it here for a second. I love that she doesn't dump into her chest voice on the dress. You know, it's keeping it classy. I like it. A little under, but that's okay. We're okay. Alrighty then. I'm sorry to stop it, to be honest here, but you know, copyright. This staging is one of the best I've ever seen because it's not so fucking awkward the whole time. Every production you see is them sort of weirdly standing apart and then they come together trying to figure out what to do with their hands. Don't worry, we'll get to those. And this is amazing because it lets her be comfortable in a sensual way, lets them be comfortable together in a sensual way while putting him in a submissive position to her that is perfect for this scene. And a lot of times what we get, foreshadowing, is they come together, they sort of grasp hands like this or arms or whatever, looking like they're doing like a double old-fashioned handshake looking for weapons. And then they like lower to their knees and then they're on their knees facing each other. Like, in what universe does this happen in a normal situation? I have never seen this. So I'm going to leave that there. And when we get to it, I'll bring her back. I just want to take us back to a minute 30 for a second. Watch Vickers. Who's to say if that was improvised or not? Who knows? Maybe the director was like, at some point, give her a little kiss somewhere. I feel like just everything makes so much sense about this scene that I forget that it's an opera. If I were just looking at it, I wouldn't necessarily know that it's an opera, which is just, and they're just so good. It's just fabulous singers next to it. Like, ugh. We're going to finish up this part and then we're going to see what some other singers do in the role. Look at him with the hand. It's so natural. I love that they kept her natural hair for this production because A, it's fierce as hell, And B, it's such a good juxtaposition against his crazy long hair, and it like flips the roles a little bit. Stunning. This part, this aria, this line, it's just everything. It's so tender and so disgustingly beautiful that you forget she doesn't actually love him. She hates his guts, hates him and everything he stands for and all the people that he supports. I also just really like watching Jon Vickers here to see his reaction. He just lets her be this powerful, sensuous, natural-haired queen, and it's beautiful. Like this hand on her face, and then just listen. Oh my God. And the panties fell to the floor.
Did I say that out loud?
Sorry, was that too much information? Oh my God. What a stunning singer. I need to get him in the tenor Aria Explained. I don't know, maybe some Peter Grimes or something. I don't know. Literally anything. Okay, we're gonna move on to some other singers. See what you think. See what I think. A little more modern. Okay. We start with him sitting on the damn floor. You're setting yourself up for awkwardness, my man. I feel like the same idea is coming into play, the submissiveness of Samson to Dalila, showing his hair coming down the back. Not bad, but... it doesn't feel really together with the orchestra, but it's a beautiful voice. It's also gigantic. I've heard her live and it's just massive, but she keeps it here really dolce, just like Samson writes. And I think that's really, really beautiful, and it sounds gorgeous in her voice. Her phrasing is really pretty. So let's skip to that really famous line that we just talked about with the chromatics in Anita's interpretation. What did I say about the kneeling? Looking for the hands. Oh, that's pretty. That's super pretty. That unexpected sort of subito piano on the E flat that she does is very nice. But let's talk about this line, because it's a big part about what makes this aria so great. Samson writes a gigantic slur, which, fun fact, Maria Callas does in one breath, but of course she does. Just making us feel bad about ourselves, Callas. It's cool. So, a réponse à ma tendresse, verse-moi l'ivresse. Both times, a huge phrase. The exact same notes spanning from D5 to a C4. And it's meant, of course, as this luxurious bath of sound, just to wash over you, and why it's written for a heavier mezzo-soprano voice. Not only because the role sits kind of low-ish and you still need to get over that orchestra, but because the richness, and I think mainly because of the richness is needed to span, you know, the entirety of this character in the middle range. Some mezzos really go for it in these low notes. Enter Obratsova. I mean, bro, what in the Pavarotti was that? She has an ocean of sound in that low register. That is unreal. I mean, she's like the queen of mezzi. Like, it's just not fair. I'm not sure that I love it in this context, though. She's singing the word tendresse, which if you were a French speaker speaking it, you would just say tendresse, and you don't pronounce that ending schwa. It's literally only in music that we do this. And she achieves that depth of sound partly by changing the vowel to like almost an A vowel, tendresse. The actual vowel is much more closed. So yes, it's impressive and gorgeous and rich and beautiful. Does she follow the language? No. Does she follow the dynamic markings? No. So I don't know if I love it in this context. It is beautiful. I could see it on l'ivresse, which means ecstasy, and not tendresse. It sort of makes more sense to dip down into your chest voice like that, but you know, maybe I'm just a jealous high mezzo. Who knows? There she sings a schwa. Stunning. It's just... It's bizarre, to be honest. Like, it's so big in her lower register. I don't know. In my opinion, I think it takes away from the line. The sheer power of it is otherworldly. But am I in love with the phrasing? Not so much. So verse 2 is more gorgeous manipulation on Dalila's part. And we get this mingling of voices from Samson, who comes in at the end. And for this, we just need to listen to Risë Stevens and Mario Del Monaco. Excuse me. We just have to. We have to listen to them too. I don't care what you say. We're going to skip a bit to the end because everything is repeated. But let me just talk about what she says in the second verse. Like one sees the blades of wheat that wave in the light wind, so trembles my heart, ready to be consoled by your voice that is so dear to me. The arrow is less rapid in bringing death than your love is by flying into your arms. That's ironic coming from someone who is literally the kiss of death in the following scenes of the opera. He tells her that his hair is the key to his strength, and guess who she runs off and tells? Listen to the orchestra going crazy. I love her so much. So all this stuff going on in the orchestra, these pulsing strings, they never stop the whole time. We've got the oboes doing this ascending motif over like 3 octaves. You've got the harp coming in. You got the flute. It's a sea of sound, the swirling of, on her part, Fane's love in the air. It is so hard to remember that she betrays him after this gorgeous love aria that they sing together. He's captured, his hair is cut off, and he asks to be tied to the pillars of the Philistines' temple. Asks God for one last bit of strength and pulls the temple down on himself and everyone inside. This is not a fun aria. Like, I get people asking me to sing this at weddings, and I oblige. Of course I do. It's beautiful, and the message on the surface is very romantic. But if you dig a little deeper... All right, let's keep going. We're gonna get to the end. It is so disgusting and beautiful, you guys. Again, respond to my tenderness. Why is it so pretty? The balance is so beautiful as well. Oh my God. You guys, come on. It literally doesn't get better than this. It just doesn't. The mingling of their voices, he doesn't try to outsing her because he could easily just get into those notes given the tessitura of some of her lines. But it just becomes this amazing, like, intertwining tenderness of easy sound from him, and the gorgeous richness of her voice. Monaco is amazing. This pair is stunning. It's stunning. Let's go back to Verrett and Vickers for this last line, because I don't understand how she kept a straight face. I would break down from crying or something. I don't even know. All right, here we go. Wait for it. They couldn't even give us the ending. Just immediately goes to an ad. Fuck you. I don't even know what to do with that. I honestly don't. Not to mention, decrescendoing as he's lying back down. I'm sorry. It's just, this shit is unreal. It's not okay. It's not okay. I'm not okay. Thank you so much for joining me today to watch Mon coeur s'ouvre à ta voix, sung by Shirley Verrett, Risë Stevens, Elena Obratsova. Tell me who your favorite singer was in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as well as follow me on Instagram at opera.anna to opera up your life every day. And I will see you in the next one. Addio.
Addio, addio.